You need to see this. America has a drug problem. It's not heroin, it's not crack. It's the drugs your doctor prescribes and the system that profits from keeping you on them. This is America's legal drug problem. You see it every day on your television, on YouTube, and sometimes even on your favorite podcasts. Happy, smiling faces, people dancing, walking through fields, playing with grandchildren, while a soothing voice sings praises of relief from diabetes, heart disease, depression, insomnia, high blood pressure, and the list goes on and on. But behind all of the smiles and soft lighting, there's a darker truth, because no one should be smiling. After decades of so-called miracle drugs, Americans are sicker than ever. Heart disease, diabetes, anxiety, and obesity are all continuing to rise despite record-breaking prescription sales. And the pandemic only made it worse. The medications may be legal, but what about their long-term consequences? They're silently rewriting what it means to be normal. And in many cases, being sick has become the new normal. Despite the fact that these people are singing and dancing about diabetes and how great they're doing, here's the reality. 6 in 10 Americans have a lifestyle disease, and 6 out of 10 take prescription drugs. I want you to really think about that for a second. 6 out of 10. That means in any room you walk into, more than half of the people are on legal drugs. And it's not just one pill. We are drowning in a rainbow mountain of medication. And it gets even worse because 4 in 10 people in the United States are now taking 2 or more medications. That's not healthcare, that's sick care. And what does that tell us? There's a 51st state in America now, and chronic disease is now the state that most Americans are living in. And there's big money in it. This legal drug empire in the US is worth over $600 billion annually, and there's no sign of it slowing down. Antidepressants, ADHD meds, sleeping aids, blood pressure meds, insulin, painkillers, all of these are rising in use, especially among younger and younger people. And you need to see this, because it's not just adults. Childhood type 2 diabetes has increased by over 95% in the last 2 decades. And obesity, nearly 20% of children and adolescents are now classified as obese, a massive spike since the 1980s, and many are already on drugs like Ozempic. And honestly, we have no idea what the true cost of these drugs are going to be in the minds and bodies of these kids in the future, because all of this is new. This is the reality. A generation growing up not just on iPads and TikTok, but on pills. And the worst part, this should be a public health emergency in America, but it's honestly starting to look more like a business model. Think about it. What do we call someone who gets people hooked young, keeps them dependent for their life, and profits from their addiction? On the street, we'd call that a dealer. But in corporate America, it feels like it's being turned into a pharmaceutical strategy. Now, I'm not trying to be cynical, but think about this. These companies are publicly traded, which means that they need to keep their shareholders happy, which means that they need to make more money, which means that business is better when there are more sick people. Now, let me be fair. I'm not saying that no one should ever be on drugs. It's not that every prescription is bad. Many are life-saving. But here's the reality. The majority of people that are on some form of medication don't have to be on that medication, because the majority of medications are for lifestyle diseases, and more doctors are seeing it. Unfortunately, the goal has shifted from healing the body to managing the condition, from getting people off medication to keeping them on it, sometimes forever. In other industries, they call this customer retention. In healthcare, it's become standard practice. Here's what I mean, and you need to see this. Around 70% of all prescription medications in the US are used to treat lifestyle-related diseases. The things I already mentioned, like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, obesity, acid reflux, anxiety. Again, the list goes on and on. In other words, the majority of pills being taken every day in America are for conditions that are largely preventable or even reversible without drugs. And that's not a conspiracy, that's science. What does that mean in plain language? It means that millions of people could dramatically reduce or eliminate their need for medications altogether by making simple, consistent changes to how they eat, sleep, move, and manage stress. These aren't exotic or expensive fixes. What we need is not more medications. What we need is whole, unprocessed foods, daily physical activity, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, meaningful relationships, a break from the constant stress and screen time, and most importantly, a belief that healing is possible. But here's the catch. None of these healthy behaviors are billable. You can't patent a walk in the park. You can't trademark leafy greens or breathing exercises. It's not as easy to make billions off of healthy living. And that's why you don't see those bright, fun commercials promoting those things. And so what we are suffering from are systems built around keeping people functioning just enough, medicating symptoms, patching holes. As I already said, we call it healthcare, but we should really be calling it sick care. So how did we end up here? Hooked on legal drugs, sicker than ever, and calling it healthcare. Unfortunately, it often starts with a doctor's visit, and it usually only takes about 10 minutes. That's the average length of a primary care visit in America today. 10 minutes to review your history, hear your symptoms, diagnose the problem, and hand you a solution. And when time is tight, the fastest fix is almost always a prescription. We've created a conveyor belt system. You're stressed? Take this. You can't sleep? Take that. You're gaining weight on that medication? No problem. Here's another one to counteract the side effects of that one. And just like that, you're not getting cured, you're getting processed. It's a feedback loop. Every pill introduces potential side effects, which then require new prescriptions, which also come with more side effects. And the deeper you go, the harder it is to get out. And the wild part about this is that the system tells us this up front. The commercials themselves read you the warning label while showing people running through sunflower fields and dancing.
Tardies may cause serious side effects, including key suggestions that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function, and general yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum fluid. Without taking Jardiance, call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction, and don't take it for dialysis. Taking Jardiance with sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
May cause nausea, dizziness, depression, sudden death. If you experience death, call your doctor. And I need you to understand that these are not rare risks. According to the CDC, about 15 to 20% of patients experience noticeable side effects from a prescription drug. Some studies show even higher rates, especially in older adults, who often take 5 or more medications at once, a condition known as polypharmacy. And it's not just discomfort, it's actually dangerous. Adverse drug reactions send over 1.5 million Americans to the emergency room every single year. In fact, depending on the source, you will quickly find out that prescription drugs are the 3rd or 4th leading cause of death in the United States when side effects and interactions are factored in. We're living in a time where people are accessing lifestyle diseases and life-altering drugs through the same types of drive-thrus. Millions of small transactions that are happening every single day, and the cost of this continues to grow. So yes, the system profits more when you stay sick than when you get well. So we need to ask ourselves a question. Is the system broken, or is it working exactly as designed? And whether we realize it or not, the pills are piling up, one prescription at a time, one side effect at a time. And eventually, the system built on lifelong dependence, ever-rising costs, and industrial-scale sickness will eventually collapse under its own weight. This isn't just about pills. It's about the patterns that we've developed. A pattern of treating symptoms instead of solving root causes. A pattern of normalizing chronic disease while the body screams for help. A pattern of profits over people. The scariest part is that most people don't even realize that they're in the system until it's too late. But this doesn't have to be your story. You can get a deeper understanding of this and how to start fixing it in our feature-length documentary named HealthDemic that uncovers the deeper story of how America's health crisis set the stage for one of the deadliest COVID outcomes in the entire world. Check the description below to take a look at it, and I promise you that you won't be disappointed. We'll show you how we got here, who warned us, and how we can still turn this around. So if this resonated with you, even just a little bit, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned, because this is just the beginning of some of the many things that we will be talking about on this channel, and you need to see this.